you seen the anime Frieren Beyond Journey's End? I read some of the manga. I'll probably pick it back up at some point, but when I like caught up to it, I stopped because I like to binge read. I don't want to like, I don't know. I don't watch a lot of anime, but I'll read manga because I do that like late at night. Yeah, I do actually want to watch that one, I think, genuinely, because I've seen portions of the animation, like the actual quality of animation looks really good, but I like it. It's this type of angst that's really good. You know what I mean? It's this nice angst, if that makes sense. I like that. This feeling of ennui in a lot of scenes. My favorite character, hands down, is Himmel. So he's my favorite character, and he's not around. So I'm like, I care about these flashbacks so much more than anything that's going on right now. I don't give a shit about the current story. I don't give a shit about any of the characters right now, you know? Even the main character of her, I don't, how do I say this? I don't dislike her. I just don't care about her the way I care about, like, him as a character, right? I much prefer to see him interacting with any other character than her. Which is probably not a popular sentiment. I believe in, like, popularity contests. Like, she's like, so highly voted. People love her. She's quirky, you know? She's a quirky girl, but I don't know. I care about the past, the flashbacks and things that they show a lot more. She's written to be the most boring character in the whole thing, and everyone loves her. I don't get it. It's because they think that what's happening to her, because she is that kind of character, is super deep. So they're very invested in it, which I don't think it's not deep, but I don't think it's like, yeah, I think she is written in a boring way, regardless. I think they could take her character and do more with it, but they don't, which at the same time I appreciate because I think that's realistic for a character, right? She's chill and professional with no drama. Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, is people like that exist. I feel personally toward that, let's be honest. I'm one of those people. I'm just chill and professional, right? That just means that, yeah, there's not really going to be anything dramatic happening. I'm going to squash anything real fast. Nothing crazy is going to happen. Yay, right? And that's good. But then, you know, from a story perspective, people will be like, oh, there's not much happening. So to me, I think in real life, that's great. But, you know, I think what they're missing out on is people who are like that often have more interesting thoughts internally that could be shown. But depending on how you write them, those don't get shown. And the way they write her is they don't show much of her internal monologue, or if she's struggling with a thought, they might, in like context, show her picking up a thing and looking at it for too long or something like that, right? So you're filling in the blanks of what she might be thinking in your head, but they leave her mysterious. And I think to make her more interesting, they should show what's in her head, but they don't, because again, they want her to be mysterious. But, you know, that means that in the end, it's just going to be kind of like slightly boring writing sometimes with her. But I think it's like a necessary evil, if that makes sense. Because if you do show the interesting stuff of what's actually going on inside her head, whether she's confused and knows what's going on or not, now you've revealed everything and she's no longer mysterious and cool. You said you got the message that eternal life waters down the value of life, so you have an eternally boring character interacting with vital youth. So the interesting aspect is that contrast, and not necessarily Frieren herself. Yeah, exactly. I see it more as kind of that. I wouldn't call it boring. I would say life is all math and calculated whatever, right? Life is all just can be boiled down to things that are predictable. And if you live enough lifetimes, you could basically predict everything that's going to happen. And a lot of the interesting human nature that we see is people repeating mistakes that they know other people made, or doing stupid shit over and over because they have not yet lived or experienced multiple lifetimes, right? They just have one and they're young. But she is a cool case study. If you did have a person who lived that long and saw that many things and gathered that much experience, they'd be just like that. They would be just like that, right? Older people always, no matter how dumb they are, how stupid they are, how not intelligent they are, they end up having a certain amount of wisdom, no matter what happened throughout their life. They accumulate wisdom because simply they have a lot more life experience, right? And they're able to better predict how things are going to go, what's going to happen in life, etc., etc. And I think that's what this is. It's a case study in that, showing that she's still capable of seeing the good things, and then, you know, seeing the beauty in youth and life and whatever, you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. I see it as they wrote a character that ended up exactly how anyone would end up being in that situation, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? I don't know. You said she's just a melancholic character, and that's the vibe for. Yeah, but also, like I'm saying, she's the expected result. Tolkien elves always seem aloof to me as well. Yeah, I think when people write characters that are long-lived, a lot of the time everyone can kind of see that those characters will share a lot of those same traits, right? It just, yeah, no urgency. You see enough deaths of things that don't live as long as you, so you value their lives less, not as much as they would, at least, because in the grand scheme of things, it matters less to you, and it should, logically at least, right? Emotionally, it might not, depending on the person, but like from a logical standpoint, that makes sense. And I think, yeah, a lot of writers will write these long-lived characters like that because you can see a case study of that in human life, right? It's a little dark, but when you're a person who's seen more people pass, you get older and older and you see more people pass, you start to take that less and less hard. It never gets easy, but you're able to just get past it more and more and more and more because you've gotten used to it, and you just have this base understanding of this is part of life and this is how it is, and I would just be wasting my time if I sit here and go crazy for an entire year over this, right? And that's just how it is. And that is just normal, to be honest. It doesn't mean you don't feel anything about it. It just means that you're being more pragmatic in the way you act physically after that thing happens, right? So, yeah. I just think, like, when you see that in humans, you can extrapolate that if a person lived longer and longer and longer, they'd get even more used to that, and they get even more. You know what I mean? The experience just changes things. So that's just how it is. It's fascinating that Frieren said elves don't even bother to reproduce because they have no sense of urgency. Yeah, that's another thing that makes sense to me too. The no sense of urgency thing. They just kind of took that and applied that to literally every trait, everything that they could encounter, which kind of made a lot of sense to me.